Hello, Grill fam. You're watching The Hill with April Ryan, where we bring you the latest in politics every week. As 2022 comes to an end, I wanted to look back at some of the biggest stories of the year. Last week, the January 6th Select Committee suggested to the Department of Justice that former President Donald John Trump face criminal charges for his role in the 2021 insurrection. The charges include obstruction of an official proceeding and conspiracy to defraud the U.S. On December 13th, President Joe Biden signed the Respect for Marriage Act to protect the validity of both same-sex and interracial marriages. On December 8th, WNBA star Brittany Griner returned to the United States safely after being in Russian custody for nearly 300 days. In February, the Phoenix Mercury player was sentenced to 9.5 years for possessing cannabis oil while traveling through a Moscow airport. And on December 6th, Democratic U.S. Senator Raphael Warnock won the Georgia runoff election against his Republican challenger, Herschel Walker, after running a close race during the midterm elections. And one of the best highlights of 2022 included President Joe Biden fulfilling his promise to appoint a Black woman to the U.S. Supreme Court. In February, he nominated Ketanji Brown Jackson to the highest court in the land, and in April, her appointment was confirmed. I spoke with activist April Rain, who told me that Jackson's role on the Supreme Court is important for the future of this country.
We knew that President Biden, then candidate Biden, promised to nominate a Black woman to the Supreme Court. And so we got started back in 2020, before he was even elected, because we knew that we were going to need a groundswell of support for this monumental change. And then when a vacancy became apparent, the nominations process started, and it was hot and heavy, as you know. There were so many, and that's a testament, right, to the Black women in the federal judiciary. There were so many qualified candidates. And then Ketanji Brown Jackson's name rose to the top, and we were elated. And now we see that she is on the bench. She is already making moves, which is fantastic. She is not waiting. She is coming out the gate with very strong dissents. Now, we know that the Supreme Court is still more right-leaning than left-leaning, but that's okay, because again, as we just said, change happens over time. And what we know is that it's not just decisions. It's not what's said in that chamber. It's the conversations that the justices and their clerks have behind closed doors, over lunch, over tea, where minds can really get changed before the actual opinions come out. So we are very excited that she is joining Justice Sotomayor, who has been trying to hold things down by herself for so long, and can't wait to see what else happens with Ketanji Brown Jackson as our Supreme Court Justice.
Now we turn our attention to the economy, where the U.S. has been battling inflation. While some are trying to make ends meet, technology experts like Andrew Yang warn that another issue is on the horizon: artificial intelligence. Some experts caution that AI could be detrimental to America's working class. However, I spoke with Jared Bernstein, a member of President Joe Biden's Council of Economic Advisors, who told me that as of right now, we don't have anything to worry about.
You know, we learned today that there are 16 states out there with an unemployment rate below 3%. At the same time that that's happening, artificial intelligence and the kind of chatbots that are getting a lot of attention these days, like ChatGPT, have been really growing in prevalence and in access to the public. So while I grant you, it's hard to look around this corner, right now we have two things going on at the same time: the increase in artificial intelligence and the strongest labor market, particularly for communities of color, in decades. So those things can coexist, and they are coexisting. So I would be cautious to overread into those prognostications.
With all the political consternation in the air, one of the major moments in the post-midterm election press conference was when theGrio asked about the practice of empathy on both sides of the aisle.
Part of what I think leadership requires, and I hope I meet the standard, is letting people know you understand their problem. Again, my dad used to have an expression. He said, I don't expect the government to solve my problems, but I expect them at least know what they are, understand them.
And that's it for the 2022 edition of The Hill with April Ryan. We'll see you in the new year in 2023 and the latest news and politics. Peace.